Hey everyone, how you doing? Hey, I am starting this new YouTube channel over here right now. This is gonna be my first video over here, and I'm gonna be talking about a lot of things right now. Well, in the future, but right now I want to be talking about dealing with a separation, and pending divorce. Um, those of you who are going through a separation, um, who didn't initiate the separation, probably know what I'm going to talk about. How it's kind of painful, it hurts, how to deal with it, cope with it, and so what I'm suggesting is, going going to going for a walk with me. I'm going to do this thing where I'm just going to talk about separation and the things you have to deal with, coping skills, how it affects you mentally, physically, it drains you. Anybody who's going through this can definitely DM me, hit me up. We can converse on it. And I can, if you're just starting to go through it and it's kind of like heartbreaking and there's children involved, I can definitely give you some tips on how to deal with it. For me, I noticed that taking walks kind of like helps me out a lot. It clears your mind, clears your head. The best thing to do would be to probably just keep your mind off of it a little bit, because when you think about it a lot, you're going through very emotional time. You can't eat. You lose a lot of sleep. It affects your job, or it can gravitate to your job and affect your job. But it just affects everything in your life, really. Sometimes you have to you have to move out. Your whole life changes. Sometimes it could be, something that happens really quickly, or sometimes it's just a mutual thing. For people who decide to go to separate ways and it's mutual between the couple, it's probably a lot easier. But when it's done by one person, whether it's the man or the husband or the wife, somebody's affected by it more than the other, obviously. It does affect both people, but obviously the person who wanted to separate probably deals with it a little bit differently than you. And for me, it was my wife who pretty much checked out. I'm not going to go into details right now because I'm just starting this video, but she's great and everything like that. But sometimes it's not a good match. Sometimes sometimes it is. You hold on. You think about what you could have done, said. But at the end of the day, it wasn't. I guess it wasn't meant to be. Something you have to deal with. But I'm going to cover a lot of things. I'm definitely going to cover a lot of things. So I think that if I share my views about separation with people who are going through with it, who are going to go through with it, I think that it would help them out if they can. That'd be great because it's really hard going through a separation. It's very emotional. So I'm going to start off by saying that, a lot of times, there's a lot of things that people regret. It is true what they say that, you don't know what you got until it's gone. That's really true, to be honest with you, and a lot of times these these separations, man, or when people start thinking about it, or when someone is contemplating moving forward with a new chapter, you don't know. I mean, it kind of hits you hard, but when you think about some of the things you could have done, I mean, like the arguing, most of the stuff could be, it's probably petty, but it compounded and eventually it just, it wasn't enough, you ask yourself what you could have done, walk away, leave, go somewhere, decompress, even go to your backyard, letting the weather storm a little bit. It's great, you know what I mean? I tell people all the time, I don't try to give them advice. I mean, I do a little bit, but, especially with couples who are just getting married or about to get married, my really only advice to them would be to, this is for people who love each other and are tired of the bickering, don't want a divorce, love each other, I mean, I would say, just, if it's petty, let it go. I mean, a lot of these arguments are really petty over really dumb stuff, whether it's, taking the trash out, not doing your part in terms of not helping out with the children or your kid more, which that was my fault right there. I'll explain that later. A lot of times it's the little things that causes these arguments, and a lot of times they're really avoidable. But sometimes, at the heat of the moment or at that particular time, you're not thinking about it. It's not registering. That's why I'm making this video here, because if I can help someone out in terms of, keeping the marriage intact, then, that's great. I mean, shoot me, something, let me know that, you watched my video and it helped you out in terms of, not arguing with your spouse, significant other as much, because there's a lot to lose, especially if there's assets, like homes, property, accounts and stuff like that, and children involved, because it also hurts the children too. So my advice to people would be to don't argue over dumb stuff, petty stuff. Just let it go, man. It's just not worth it. At the end of the day, it's not worth it. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's really insignificant. I mean, is it really worth losing a person you love, or something that's recoverable, that can be fixed easily? Sometimes, these petty arguments, they add up, and sooner or later, somebody's gonna get tired of it and they're gonna check out. It's not about love. I mean, because I'm pretty sure they love you. They married you, or they're about to marry you. But it's just the drama, because arguing over petty stuff creates drama. And a lot of people don't want drama. I certainly didn't want drama. I love my wife. I didn't want to have drama with her, but we couldn't recover from it. So I mean, it was recoverable, but we just couldn't recover from it. So I would say that leave those petty arguments, man. Just let them go. Don't just let it go. It's just not worth it. At the end of the day, she's your wife or your husband, and they have your best interests. I mean, they take care of you. You take care of each other. That's what you're supposed to do. And if you have kids, you most definitely don't want to be arguing in front of your kids, because, I mean, they see it and they hear it, So I would say to just like keep it on a down low, or just try not to argue at all over dumb stuff, man. Because a lot of the stuff that I was arguing with was really petty. And secondly, I would say that don't ever stop sleeping in the same bed together. I mean, that's a deal breaker, to be honest with you. For me, it was, I had to get up at a certain time, and my wife and my kid were getting up before I was, and, they were making noise. I'm sure they weren't making a lot of noise, but they were making, the noise was enough for me to wake up in like an hour and a half before I have to wake up. And then I kind of got perturbed. I got perturbed and, just got pissed off and start arguing, shutting doors, And, when you go to work, you come home, you're probably going to hear that. It's not over because you said something in the morning. You're going to hear it when you come home from work. And my daughter, she kept gravitating toward our bed, downstairs bed, where our bedroom, we had a queen size bed there, and it wasn't really meant for like 2 adults and a kid, And a lot of times she would make a mess in the bed, and it's something that we had to deal with all the time. So, and I'm kind of like nocturnal. I'm a night person. I mean, I require very little sleep, so I stay up late and watch TV, and my wife would put my daughter to sleep early, and I had to go upstairs and watch TV, But so I started sleeping upstairs, Actually, it goes back to when she was born. She was crying a lot, and I had to sleep in another room. But when I started sleeping in that spare guest bedroom, which had a king size bed, TV, I felt really comfortable there. I slept well, but at the end of the day, it's something you really shouldn't do, because I remember my wife telling me that I need to start sleeping in her bed, and I didn't really get what she said before. I mean, I kind of did, but I didn't absorb that. And I mean, she was trying to tell me that we're married, we should be sleeping in the same bed together, because when you sleep in the same bed together, you create a bond. You really do, and that's something you want with your spouse. The thing is that I think those two things probably has something to do with it too as well. But for the most part, it was drama. For the most part, it was drama. There was a lot of drama going on in the house, and there really needed to be any drama at all, But that stuff kind of doomed my marriage, me arguing with my wife, which I didn't want to do, but I was the last person I wanted to argue with my wife, but it just happened, and we couldn't recover from it, man. And then I'm having friction with my neighbors. And my neighbors were cool, but I had friction with them, And my wife didn't like that, it created drama, And sometimes family members can create friction too as well, because my mom, she would throw a wrench in there sometimes too, and I would argue with my mom at the house, which wasn't really cool, but my mom would do certain, I want my daughter to be raised a certain way, and my mom would do things that I didn't like, and I could have done something about it, but I dealt with it in a different way, arguing with her at the house with my wife there, and she didn't like that at all. So that contributed to it. But I would say that there was a lot of friction there, but that contributed to it too as well. And the last 2 years of my marriage was going downhill, and I knew there was a problem, and I didn't fix it. I could have fixed it. If I would have just done what my wife asked me to do, I'd still be married. And now, I'm living in a different house. She's seeing somebody else, which hurts the most. That's something I have to deal with. because there is no time limit on when someone can see somebody, but it really makes it really hard for you to get your wife back when she starts seeing someone. It really is. It's almost impossible, you know. And if if she likes this person a lot, I mean, it's a wrap, really, to be honest with you. But for me, it was I did some things too that I'm not proud of. So that's another thing I want to tell you, man. When you're fighting like that and arguing and something happens, no cursing, man. Do not curse. Do not embarrass your wife and do things that embarrasses her and stuff like that. It's not really cool at all, man. Just you gotta respect your wife, man. No matter what happens, you gotta respect your wife. You can't call her names and stuff like that and talk about her to your friends about some of the stuff she's done, because when you do that, it makes it almost impossible to get her back if you want to get her back, because she's never going to forgive you, and you're putting your stuff out there, you're putting your business out there, and a lot of times, a lot of times that's a no-no, you don't want to put the business out there because everybody knows, and that's what I did, that's one of the mistakes that I did. Our friends, we had a group of friends that we were tight, we did everything with, man. It affected everybody. It just didn't affect our marriage. It affected everyone, your friends, family, your marriage, and then, you can't take back some, certain things, you just can't take it back. It's just the way it is, once you put it out there, it's out there, and, yeah, so my two advice would be to, if it's petty, just let it go. And don't ever stop sleeping together in the same bed, even if you're mad, because, at the end of the night, you're going to probably end up, hugging each other while you're sleeping for warmth, a lot of times that bond can create comfort, and in the morning you're not as mad, you can talk about it, but so these are the things I'm going to talk about, mostly about separation, and about how I would like for everyone who's going through something like this to take a walk with me, and let's talk about it. Now, I'm not a therapist or anything like that. I don't claim to be a therapist. The only thing I really want to do is talk about separation, marriages, pending divorce. Because if I can help someone out, from getting a divorce and staying together, then I think I would be happy for that couple. I really would. Because, the person you're with, it's the person you probably want to be with for the rest of your life, And sometimes the person you're with might not end up being the person you end up being with too as well. So remember that. So, sometimes it's not a good match, it's not a good fit. It might take a couple of years, but if you both come into an understanding and know that, then it'd be a lot easier. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to make these videos. I don't know yet what I'm going to name this channel. Maybe I'm thinking about just calling it Walk With Me. I hope this reaches a lot of people. I want it to reach a lot of people because, you see a therapist and stuff like that. All that costs money. And what you really need is somebody to talk to, give you some advice. Kind of the advice that people are going to give you. Sometimes you might have to take medication or something like that. Now, I can't legally tell you to take some kind of over-the-counter medication. It's really against the law, I guess. I'm not sure, but this is all just talk. We're just going to talk, man. It's like having a meeting. It's like going to AA, but for people who are going through a separation. My only advice to you would be to you know, if I can give you some really good advice, you know, to take heed to it and use it, you know. And if you can establish your marriage, then I would definitely recommend listening to me, because this is something I'm going to do daily, once a day, maybe twice a day. I'm going to probably start doing these videos in the afternoon. So if you like these videos, please subscribe, and ring that bell for content. And you know, I'm going to be uploading videos once a day if I can, or once or twice a week. And if you want to talk, just go ahead and shoot something to me, you know, and I'll get back to you and respond as quickly as I can. But pretty much this is what I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to be making these videos about separation and marriages, and what goes wrong, and how you can recover, and how can you save your marriage. So again, the name probably is going to be, you know, Walk With Me. So if you like to walk, you know, and hear some content about separation, marriages, and how to avoid it, you know, or try to avoid it, or what you can do, just you know, click on my channel, man, and we can talk about it. Okay? All right. Till next time, you guys be safe. Keep your mind intact. Focus on your health, you know, your job, and you, and you'll be okay. All right. See you guys later. Peace.